Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And I've got a question for y'all today. Can you hear that little voice? Can you? No? Well, it's probably because it's just being drowned out by all the cacophony of the world. It's a loud place out there. It's very confusing and it's kind of bright lights. Sometimes you need glasses, sometimes you don't. So I have someone here. Y'all have heard her, y'all have seen her before, and she is an esteemed guest on the show, Zoe Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Keegan?
I'm doing well. It's so good to have you back on. And for everyone out there, we had some technical difficulties. So this episode's going to be a little bit not impromptu or anything, but it's definitely going to be very candid, I'll say. So, um, aside from the technological glitches that we've had, what has been going on in the world of Zoe Smith?
It's been a really hectic couple of months, the last couple of months,
Oh
but in
boy.
a good way. I've been had my head down building some extra parts to the website and launching some new projects, which has been really exciting. So I've just launched some live exercise classes on the website. So each week we're going to cover a holistic approach to exercise so that people can build their fitness or their strength and conditioning. Three different types of yoga. So there's the mind, body, soul elements, and then meditation, breath work, sound healing, all on there. So it means that it can be available to as many people as possible, and it offers that holistic approach if people want it, or they can dip in and out of the bits that they want.
Oh.
And piloted it with some free classes a few weeks ago, and it went down really well. I got really positive feedback. So I've opened it up on a kind of free or pay what you can basis if you're going to attend live. And then I've opened up some memberships if people want on demand and whatnot. So that's been exciting. And then I've just launched a 6-week online course as well. So to support people who are feeling a bit burnt out, navigating stress and dealing with just life, really. There's the volume that is life, just to give them some tools to help them come back to themselves. And it's called Coming Home to You. And it is
Oh.
about being able to take that time and the tools to come back to yourself and
Mm.
cut out the noise.
Oh, wow. That is all super exciting and very wonderful news. I know what it's like to kind of run like a website and it's hard. So congratulations on that. But
You,
real quick, where can everyone find it? Because it's
you can,
yourvitalitycoaching.com, right?
yeah, that's right. Yourvitalitycoaching.com. Yeah. And
Sweet.
everything's on there.
Awesome. Well, it is awesome that you have created such a wonderful piece of technology yourself, because now people can go there to essentially reconnect with their inner self. Is that kind of the point?
Yes, yeah. And it's looking at life in a holistic way and
Mhm.
recognizing that obviously life is challenging. It's never wonderful in every aspect of our life either. There'll be something in life that's going amazingly well, and then there'll be other stuff that's sort of in the middle, a bit, it's not too bad, but it's not wonderful. And then there's something usually that's not great. I always say when I'm working with my coaching clients, like life is a bit like this, but there's loads of strands of it all doing that at the same time. And so this is just a way of giving people different tools to help navigate that. And I've seen the tools work in my own life, but I've also seen them work with a massive range of clients, all of us in different situations at different times of life. So I feel really confident that what I'm offering people is an actual practical resource they can take away and use. And there'll be some bits that people look at and go, no, that's not for me. And there'll be other bits that are like, wow, yeah, I can do that so easily. So it just gives people a selection. But the other thing that I find interesting, and again, I've experienced this in my life, like times in my life where I've looked at something and thought, no, that's not for me. And
Mhm.
then life carries on, something else happens, and somebody will say to me, have you ever tried whatever it was? And I'll be like,
Mhm.
yeah, I looked at it, it didn't work for me. And then that'll plant a seed in my head, and then I'll go away and look at it again, and it works. And so different tools at different times in different situations. And collectively, it's a bit of a toolbox, my website. And I think the website, I've seen it grow organically from what was originally a landing page, really. And then it started to grow and it started to become a bit disjointed. It sort of looked like, who is this woman and what is she doing? Because nothing joined up. It just, to someone looking at it, it just looked like I did 52 different things. Whereas quite proud of how it's come together now because it shows this cohesive offer and a toolbox of approaches. So it's been nice to see that come together.
Oh man, that is exciting news because it's like a really awesome example of how your life is being molded by yourself into something and you're watching that whole progress. So you're coming from a place of having been healed while you're still healing. And so you're like, I don't know, like to me, it's just a really beautiful picture because it's you creating you in the moment and you're even able to sit there and be like, oh hey, like who was I, like what am I doing here? And now it's this, like you said, cohesive website that just entails everything that you do and you've made it available to everyone, which is just absolutely fantastic. Whenever uh you found yourself wanting to create this, what was the initial step? Like, what was the spark that started it for you?
That's a good question. There's been a few different sparks in a few different areas, and I think that was what led it to become what it is now because there was a spark to start my Reiki healing, and then I
Mhm.
wanted to let people know that I was doing that. So that became my landing page. And then I started teaching the yoga classes. So I needed somewhere for people to find a bit more about that. And then I was doing retreat days. In lockdown, I was doing online fitness classes and I used to run them through a live Facebook group.
Mm.
And I'd always wanted to go back to that, but I'd sort of paused it for a while because I'd moved house and my Wi-Fi wasn't good enough in the house that I was in. So I paused it, but with the intention of always coming back to it. So then eventually that's come together on there as well. But over that time, things have changed in my life. And so whereas in the past, I was probably quite hell for leather with my fitness classes, very cardio, interval based, and high energy. And I'm not saying that there isn't a place for that and that will still feature, but I recognize now more than ever that exercise needs to be so much more than that. And to get that true holistic approach where you're actually giving your mind time to exercise as well and to calm your nervous system because it's great doing interval training. It's brilliant for your cardiovascular health. It can be great for your muscle strength. But in doing that, you're putting your body into fight or flight mode, which a lot of us spend a significant part of our lives in anyway. So if we're then heightening our fight and flight mode, it's really peaking our nervous system and it can put it into that kind of freeze mode where it says, right, I've got so much to feel, I've got so much going on that I'm actually going to now make you feel nothing. So having the balance with the yoga and the meditation and breath work and whatever works for you out of that
Mhm.
can help just to balance the nervous system and to calm it back down. So I've learned that the hard way over the years, but it's shaped my offer now in the wellness studio part of the website. So that's been quite an interesting journey to reflect on. Then also, I wanted to make it, there's so many different fitness websites out there, there's so many different health and well-being practitioners out there. And I wanted to make your vitality coaching slightly different because I don't want it to appeal to just someone who can afford it. I want
Mhm.
it to be out there for everyone. So I deliberately made the classes live, free, or pay what you can. And then I've deliberately structured the memberships in a way that suits different budgets. And the course as well, I've tried to make that as accessible to everyone as possible because why shouldn't we all have access to these
Mhm.
tools? They're so crucial to our well-being, and so many people now are looking for these kind of tools that would have never even considered it in the past
Mhm.
because as a human race, we need them more than ever at the moment. The way that the pace of life, the challenges we're all dealing with. So that sort of shaped how I put it together as well.
Oh man, I love that because you're saying that it wasn't just a spark that started the fire, it was several sparks. And so it just all eventually kind of melded together to where it is now. It's great that you also mentioned that having everyone be in that fight or flight response in most of our lives and stuff, and then not being able to feel anything makes me think right back to where you were talking about how we have life doing this and things are doing this all over the place. And sometimes I know for myself, I'd like to sit there and be like, all right, I'm going to focus on that one thing that is down there, and I'm just going to hold on to it until it drags me down with it, you know? And so now you have this website to where if I were feeling like that, I could go over there and just be like, all right, what is going to help my mental health or spiritual well-being today, right?
Yeah.
And that is just freaking cool because a lot of people, like you said, don't realize that there are tools out there that people can utilize. And a lot of people are opening up their minds because they're like, I tried this and it doesn't work. I tried this and it doesn't work. And I tried that and it doesn't work, you know? So this is just so freaking cool. Um, and whenever it's all culminated into where it is now, how do you think that your, say, inner compass is pointing you? Because your website has been like a part of the journey, right? And so with it being, would you call it completed? Nope.
I'd
Yeah.
really love to say it's completed because it's been a labour of love for the last few months. And I think it's fair to say that my social life and my life in general have sort of taken a back seat because everything's been website. But I know it'll carry on evolving. I know it will. And what I'd really like to do through it is to start to build a community. So I'm already looking at how that's going to work and how we can bring people together. One of the beautiful things about my Facebook Live classes that I was doing after around the end of lockdown was
Mm,
the community that we built through it because we would meet to exercise together. And at that time, I used to do it every morning at 6 a.m.
mm,
And so there'd be a group who were always up at that time, and we'd meet and do the exercise together. And then there'd be others that came in and accessed the videos like later in the day or the next day or whatever. Everyone would comment on the videos, or we'd have a little chat before the class. And it actually grew a community where people were making friends with each other from far away, never physically met, but those friendships have lasted 4 years on. And I see, like on Facebook, sometimes I'll see them commenting on each other's posts, and I think, wow, you guys met through those classes and the support that they give each other and gave each other. So I would really like to tap into that and be able to expand on that through the website as well. And so that's something that I'm sort of looking at and thinking about for one of the next steps, as well as running some more face-to-face events. And I'd love to be able to do those around the world over the next few years as well, like take it to different countries and do retreat days and weekends and stuff like that.
wow, that is ambitious and I love it. And that is just the kind of energy that the world needs whenever it comes to mental health, spiritual well-being, stuff like that, because we need the people blazing the trail to let us know that, hey, we can do this, you know? And that's part of the thing is that whenever the world is so loud around us, it's hard to hear a little voice on the inside saying like, hey, maybe I should go and do something to better myself, you know, maybe heal myself because it's just so easy to get caught up in the day to day and the routines and the ruts and everything that it next thing you know, I turn around and I'm just gone. I left part of me behind that I actually really needed, and I don't know how to go back and get it without pulling all the other luggage and baggage with me, you know? So it's really awesome that you've created something like this. And I also wanted to say that someone I spoke with recently told me a little bit about perfectionism that I was like, oh, okay. So I think you might like to hear this because they were like, you struggle with perfectionism, right? I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, let me tell you something. Whenever something is perfect, it's only for that moment, right? So being striving for perfection is kind of silly because in the moment, everything is as perfect as it will be in that moment. And I was like, huh, okay. So it felt like a lot of stress kind of came off. And at the same time, it was like, oh, I can do a little bit more, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I don't think you're aiming for perfection. I think you're aiming for a living thing. And I think that that itself is imperfection. Imperfection. There we go.
Yeah, something that just keeps evolving. And
Hmm.
yeah, no, I really like that. It's so true, isn't it? We strive for perfect, as in a state of perfection, and it doesn't exist, does it? Yeah, I
Uh,
love that. It doesn't exist. That gives us a lot of permission
yeah.
to keep growing and evolving. I think I like what you were saying, and it's so true about when we're living in that fight or flight mode, if our body does go into that freeze mode, if our nervous system sort of puts us on shutdown, if you like, and said, right, you've been feeling so many things and you don't know which to pay attention to. So now you're not going to feel anything. And it kind
Mm.
of puts you into that burnout zone where you really just feel a bit no motivation, just sort of shut down. It's
So
really easy in that state, isn't it, to feel stuck as well?
yeah. Whenever I've been feeling in those stuck states, I don't know if they want to be called a coach or anything like that, but it was my first energy coach per se. And they taught me that a rut is resisting the urge to transform. And I was like, and so years later, probably 2 years ago, I came up with routine, which is recycling old unnecessary tasks into new energy. It's like, for me, if I'm in a rut, I need to create a routine that gets me out of the rut and keeps me out of the rut for a little while. But at the same time, sticking to routines aren't the best thing either, but that leads to burnout sometimes. So how do I deal with burnout if I thought what I was doing is actually helping, or maybe it's not?
That's where the reflection, regular reflection, really comes in. But we don't always do this because we wait till we're in that rut. We wait till we're burnt out, we're in the rut. And
Uh-huh.
then we go, right, okay, this isn't working. Why isn't it working? And
Mm.
then we take that step back to reflect on it. But actually, what we need to be doing is reflecting more often. And if we just set aside a little bit of time every week or every fortnight, or even if push comes to shove, once a month, but just set aside some time, find the tools that work, whether it might be going out for a long walk, and whilst you're on that walk in nature, you're able to take a pause and hear your intuition and your inner voice, or whether it's sitting with a journal, going for a nice coffee somewhere, taking your journal, sit with your journal, empty your mind, or use some useful prompts to help you get your thoughts out on paper. Whatever it is that works for you, just taking that little bit of time to reflect on what's going well, what's not, any areas where you feel stuck, anything that you've got power to change, and things you're not in control of that you can't possibly change. Those things can be really powerful in helping us stay on top of that burnout cycle with the rut routine. It can break that, and it's so simple and it doesn't take long. Just an hour's walk in nature, half an hour sat with your journal, maybe 10 minutes breathing exercises and 5 minutes reflection. There's so many different ways of doing it.
Oh, okay. So I do like how you were starting to list the other types of reflection because I was like, I think you're just talking about journaling, right? Just with different prompts. And you're not, because you're saying that reflection is living as well. It is something that, in now that I think about it, it's kind of true whenever I reflect on the healing journey I've been on because my story has shifted. It hasn't changed, but my perspective has shifted a little bit that lets me see things a little bit different, that let me heal other parts of me that I didn't see before. But that's the thing, is that I couldn't do that without reflection. And I know that I have not written in my journal all the time for that. So it's great that you're sitting there and like helping me recognize and the audience recognize that I don't have to sit there and just journal, 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 journal. I can go out for walks in nature. And by the way, I love doing that. Yeah, I need to do that. It's just been so hot out here. I don't want to. So, what are some of your favorite ways to reflect on yourself personally?
I love to go for walks in nature, and I have a few favorite places to go. Depending like what it is that is on my mind will depend where I go. So sometimes I love nothing more than a walk on the beach. But if it's a hot day like it has been today, and I know that everybody's going to be out on the beach, then that doesn't appeal. I love going to the beach where I walk down onto the sand. I look both ways. And if one way's got people and the other way has got someone walking his dog and nobody else, I'll always go that way. I love to be just like me and nature. Or I'll go out into the countryside or up into the Lake District, or just depending what time I've got and how I'm feeling. So the type of nature has an effect on what type of benefit from reflection I'm going to get out of it. Sometimes when I'm out in nature, if I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's no one else around, I like to be able to talk out loud, because in hearing my thoughts, somehow that helps me clarify and it helps me sort of take that step back. So I'll sound like an absolute nutter if if anyone was to hear me, but yeah, it's just nice to get out and to be at one. What else do I do? I love coffee. I shouldn't love coffee because too much of it's not great for you.
Uh-huh.
But I do like to go, and there's again a few favorite places where I like to go grab a coffee and sit. And on those occasions, I will take my journal. When I was in my earlier stages of healing, I used to write everything in my journal. Um, and it was really powerful for me at that time. I hardly use my journal now. I still do get benefit from it, but I don't feel that need to write absolutely everything in it, which is a bit like what you were saying, isn't it? Like different stages in your healing. And it is true. Like I always say that healing happens in layers. And it's like you peel one back and you feel like you've healed and it's wonderful. And then a few months later, weeks, days, whatever, there's another layer that needs to be addressed. But with every layer that you peel off, it does give you that self-knowledge and that self-understanding. And just like you said on your journey, where you were as you were traveling through that beginning to where you are now, same journey, but it's shifted and you see things differently. And we need to go through those early stages to get to the broader perspective that gives us then in order to heal some of the more complex or nuanced issues that we just didn't think about in the beginning. What else do I do? I like to do my yoga mat as well. Being on my yoga mat, if I've had a really good yoga practice and then I'll go into a deep relaxation at the end, often that can take me on a whole journey of reflection. I love the yoga nidras, which is like the yogic sleep, which is like a guided meditation, if you like. And sometimes they take you so deep into relaxation that by the time you get towards the end of it, you can get some really useful insights and reflections into what's going on in your life at that time. Yeah, I think they're
Oh,
probably my favorites.
well, thank you for sharing those with us because I think a lot of other people out there are going to hear them and be like, oh, I should try that too. Because not everyone's thought of how to reflect properly. And I do want to say that the whole verbal processing thing, I do that too. If like I'm getting to the point to where I don't mind if other people are around, depending on what I'm processing. But that's the thing, is like other people are going to like try to lock me in the loony bin because I'm talking to myself. And it's like, I don't want that. Like I'm just trying to think. And so you're totally fine right there. I had a 4 hour drive for my other work the other day, and I just talked to myself 2 hours that way, 2 hours back, no music, no nothing. So you're fine. But that did actually bring up a question though, because you mentioned the whole beach, and then there's people over here and a dog and his owner over here, right? So we're sitting there saying, do you need to be alone for reflection, or can you reflect with other people?
I think it depends what you're reflecting on and how you feel about it and who those people are. Because
Yeah.
there are some people who can be really, really useful to sit down with and have a chat. And they'll give you an insight. They've got a different way of seeing things to you, and they'll give you some really useful insight that you probably wouldn't have thought of on your own. I've got a couple of friends um, who I will sometimes run things by, and they'll be like, well, why didn't you think about this? Or have you thought about that? And then I'll think, oh, no, I didn't think about that. So that can be really useful. And then there's other times where you don't actually want anyone else's opinion. You're reflecting on something personal or something developmental, and you just want to process it and put your thoughts in order. I know sometimes my head gets so full of things to do. And like you, I don't just have one job, and obviously there's all aspects of life. So sometimes my head is like so full of things I need to do, and I'll sit and be so overwhelmed that I'll end up doing nothing. So my way around that is to just empty my head onto a sheet of paper,
Oh,
and then I get different colored pens and I'll group things, and then I look at them all in each category, and I'm like, right, well, I can't change that. That's got nothing to do with me. But I can change this, 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 and this. And that's really easy to do. So I'm going to do that now. And I can do that next week because it doesn't need to happen right now. And then I'll just like organize my thoughts. And it just helps to get them out of my head.
I love that because it sounds like a mind map of sorts. And
Yeah.
I love mind maps, but you're essentially saying just mind vomit onto the paper and then clean up the mess.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of trying to process everything in here, and it just gives you a headache sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And I go into that mode where if I feel like I have too much to do, and I've only got, say, I've got 3 hours to get some stuff done, but
Mhm.
I can't, like, I know there's stuff I can do now, the stuff I need to do later, and I just can't formulate. So if I don't find a way to organize that, I will very easily sit for 3 hours scrolling on my phone and doing nothing.
So it's easier to essentially just say disassociate from everything instead of actually doing something whenever you're overwhelmed and just have a whole bunch on your plate. And I think that that is something I do. And I was actually kind of talking about that yesterday on my live stream because I was like, with ADHD, I'm sitting there going like, "Ooh, I should really do that." And then my executive function disorder kind of kicks in. It's like, I'm not going to do that, but I really need to do that. And then I beat myself up for not doing something. And so then it's like, oh, wait, I'm going to go over here and do something instead. But I really should be doing that instead. But I got this, so I can't choose between the two. So now I'm going to sit there and do a third mystery option. And then it just does 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I repeat the cycle. But that's the thing is that I don't like doing that. I don't like also disassociating, but at the same time, I think that that is like the first stages of burnout, would you say?
Yeah, because you go into overwhelm. In fact, I put a post up on my social media about this, I think it was yesterday, about how you can easily think of yourself as being lazy, or other people may think you're
Mm.
lazy because you're not appearing to do anything, but actually you have been so busy or you've just become so overwhelmed that you're not lazy, you're burnt out, and it's overwhelm rather than anything else. And when you are in that burnt out, overwhelmed state, that's when the nervous system puts you on freeze and hold. You've
Mm.
gone beyond fight and flight and you're no longer calm and centered. You've gone into that kind of static, I can't do anything state. And that exists. And and it's a warning because our body gives us warnings, doesn't it? Our
Mm.
physical body. I also see it as being really linked with our energy system. Like we've got our physical body, but we've also got our subtle energy body. And if our energy's flowing well, then our physical body is fit and well, it's healthy, it's working as it should. If we've
Mm.
got any blocks in our energy, then that will manifest somewhere in our physical body. So that comes out as it might be the start of a cold, it might be an injury, or it starts usually with something quite small. And if we listen to it, it goes away quite quickly. And if we don't listen to it, and if we don't step back and pause and do something about it, that's when it keeps growing and becomes bigger problems. So I think with the freeze and the overwhelm, that's our body telling us, right, stop, rest, reflect. What can you drop? Because you can't do everything. You can't do all of this. It's too much. So what can you drop? And then pick up what you can pick up and carry on. And we see ourselves as stuck. I read tarot cards. There's a tarot card, the Eight of Swords, and it's this lady standing with a blindfold in front of a load of swords, feeling like she's trapped. And
Mm.
I always think of it a bit like that. People feel stuck, they feel trapped, that I can't change this and I can't change that, and I have to do this because, and I should do that, and I must do this, and I ought to do that. But actually, what do you really need to do? And
Mm.
then what else can you lessen the priority of? And what can you get rid of completely? Because there's always things that we can change. We're not stuck. We just think we are, but that's us putting that in place.
Mm.
So there are always things we can change and things we can let go of.
I love that. And I also read tarot, so I'm really glad that you brought that up because I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that Eight of Swords, that would definitely be fitting for burnout, overwhelm, and just feeling trapped within your own confines. Like, I'm the one that made this jail cell, and I have the key, but I'm just going to stand here anyways."
Yeah, and it's amazing how many of us do that. We do.
Um,
We think we're trapped.
yeah, there we go. So, the Eight of Swords is a great tarot card, and tarot actually has anywhere from 72 to 78 cards depending on your deck, and each one has slightly different meanings depending on the symbology in the card and stuff. So, anyone out there, I highly recommend looking into tarot. It's super cool, super fun. Uh, but definitely go and reach out to Zoe and see if she can help you interpret tarot. Can you help people interpret tarot? I didn't mean to just lay that
Yeah.
on you.
Yeah, I love tarot. I've done tarot reading for years. It's not something that I offer widely, but I do readings for some of my clients who I'm quite close to, I
Hmm.
suppose. But yeah, I really find it fascinating. I just love how when you shuffle the cards and lay them out and you look at them,
Hmm.
there's always a really powerful message. And when you
Hmm.
sit and think about it, usually it's something you already know.
Yeah.
It's never going to tell you anything earth-shattering, but it's another way of digging into that inner voice.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can, I love how some of the cards can be quite brutal.
Depending on the deck. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Depending on the deck, it's like, ouch, that hurt, but I needed to hear that. And
Yeah.
I love how you're talking about them too, because some people are like, oh, you use tarot for predicting the future or this, that, and another. And for me, I use it as a tool of self-reflection, self-introspection, and being able to have those blinders taken off of me. Because that's like you said, I'll read the layout, read the spread, and be like, oh, and then all the pieces just fall into place and it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then clarity happens, and then that's how I find myself to start getting out of overwhelm, or maybe before I hit burnout, right?
Yeah. It's like a roadmap. And sometimes on those days we've all had those days where you wake up feeling anxious, but you're not really sure why. And
Hmm.
there's always a reason. And I find the tarot cards can sometimes be useful for pointing out to me what it is that I'm refusing to acknowledge. And another thing I love to do, I've got two or three different oracle decks, and I started to pull one oracle card on a morning, and I just ask like, what do I need to know today? And I'll pull one card and I'll look at it sometimes, and I'll look at it, I'll be like, well, that don't really mean anything. I don't need to know that today. By the end of the day, I will know what I needed that card for. And I just love that. It's a really simple but
Mhm.
powerful way of tapping into our intuition.
Yeah, it's great. And I forget who said it, but they said that the best way to do tarot is to read the book that comes with your cards and then forget about it and refer to it after you've looked at the cards yourselves whenever you do a spread.
Yeah, because if we use our own tuition and just allow our own tuition to tell us what the cards are telling us, that is much more powerful than trying to learn it from a book.
Hmm.
But also, learning it from the book is useful. You learn the nuances, the intricacies of some of the cards, and of course the symbolism and stuff that's on them. That can be useful too. But 9 times out of 10, if you just look at the spread and use your intuition, then look at the book only adds to what you already knew. It doesn't change the message.
Hmm.
So it's a really good way of just seeing how connected we are with our intuition, I think. Because if you sit and look at the cards and nothing comes to you, that's because you're not in connection with that inner voice. You know, you're blocking it in some way for whatever reason. But if you can sit down and you look at them and you think, okay, yeah, I'm feeling this, and this, and then you look at the book and it's expanding on it, and then you know you're on the right lines and you're listening to your intuition.
Yeah, and that is so amazing because our intuition leads us in a whole lot of ways that we don't really realize we're actually doing until we maybe reflect, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. To see how in connection we are with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Because I
And
think we really do block it sometimes. So we can hear it, but we don't want to hear it. Because we've started down the path of something and we really want that to work. But deep down inside, we know we've made a mistake, we've gone a slightly wrong way, or we should backtrack, unpick some of what we've done and change it. We don't want
mm,
to make those changes. So it comes back to that feeling trapped again. We don't necessarily want to make the changes that deep down we know we should. And so it's easier just to carry on blindly down the path that we know we shouldn't be on.
uh,
Um, so being connected with our intuition and truly taking that time to listen can shortcut a lot of those detours.
hmm. That's so strange that you are saying that your intuition knows everything that you should be doing, but you're just like, executive decision, I'm not doing that."
And we
And
still have free will, don't we?
yeah, and so that kind of makes me wonder, like, where is this intuition coming from? And it's from ourselves, right? It's very
Yeah.
strange, very strange.
Yeah, it's that inner voice, that inner knowing, isn't it? That feeling of clarity
Yep.
um, deep within.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Zoe, we have had an amazing conversation today, and you've been on the show before, so I got to thank you for being on every single time beforehand. But now we do have a new segment, and it's a little bit of a game show. So, are you ready to play?
Go on then. Yes, I'm
Alrighty.
ready.
All right, Zoe. Now it's time for a quick hit round I'm calling gut check. Or so I'm going to throw a bunch of choices, scenarios, or questions at you, and you just go with your first instinct. Listen to that intuition. Don't overthink it. This is about raw, intuitive hits before the world, the ego, or expectations chime in. Just fire from your gut. So, if you're ready, we can start. All
I'm
right.
ready.
Sunrise or moonlight?
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Okay. Saying no or saying not now?
No.
Journaling or dancing it out?
Journaling.
Tight chest, fight or flight? Or freeze and reflect?
Freeze and reflect.
Ooh, like it. The last time your intuition saved your butt?
Ooh. Um. Ooh, I don't know actually. Um.
Getting on the Zoom call.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Jumping on Zoom when Riverside wouldn't work. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Forest, ocean, or desert to reset your nervous system?
Forest.
Forest. All right. Someone says, trust yourself. What's the first image or word that pops into your head?
Intuition.
Intuition. All right. Energy feels off in a room. Do you leave? Do you clear it? Or lean in and observe?
Lean in and observe.
Lean in and observe. All right. And what's one physical yes your body gives you?
That feeling of excitement in your stomach.
Ooh, like butterflies?
Yeah.
And then last one, what's your biggest hell no signal?
Oof. Getting a migraine.
Oh, yeah, that would definitely put a stop in my tracks too. So, you survived the storm through life and this little quick fire gut check. So, did anything surprise you?
Yeah, it surprised me that I said journaling and not dancing. 'Cause I love
Really?
dancing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe because we were talking about journaling a little bit earlier and reflecting.
Maybe.
And
Yeah.
maybe you can't really reflect too well unless you're in a mirror talking to yourself while you're dancing, you know?
Yeah, true.
All right. So there's one other question with all this. Was there something your body was saying before your mouth did?
In the quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Or during anything.
Sometimes I get like a feeling, you know, I don't tell lies because I'm a terrible liar. And if I tell lies, people can just always tell that I'm lying. But you know, if you're in a position where you think, shall I tell the truth or shall I lie? And you have that feeling, I
Mhm.
get that kind of feeling sometimes if I'm about to do something, but my body's saying, no, don't do that. It's that
Mm.
kind of same, like, hang on a minute, stop. That sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but that inner feeling you get when you know you shouldn't really be doing something.
Fair enough. So, Zoe, because you've survived the storm, you've done everything, and you are just an amazing person in general, you have earned yourself the title, the Intuition Whisperer, because sometimes the smallest voice within needs the biggest cheerleader on the outside. So,
I like that.
uh, so we can definitely see you on in the future again, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, because unfortunately, we are at the end of this episode. We have had to have a little bit of technical difficulties, but we've made the best of it because we listened to Zoe's intuition and went to Zoom because Riverside was messing up. So there's unfortunately no live stream of this one. So if you want to check out the live streams, you can always go to YouTube at Retrieving Sanity, or you can also check out yourvitalitycoaching.com because we've talked about that a whole lot, and you should definitely check it out because it's got some really awesome stuff in there, and you don't really have to pay anything unless you want to, and you probably should because she put a lot of work into it. So, Zoe, do you have any last words for the audience this time?
I just want to encourage people to just take 10 minutes to take a step back from life in whatever way comes to you in that moment, listening to your intuition. Just take 10 minutes, go do something to pause from life and just see what happens.
Ooh, I love that. Zoe, thank you very much for being on the show today, and I'm looking forward to the future and all the other episodes we're going to create together. So, I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to get a good solid outro down because I'm not good at the outro. I'm good with the intro. The outro part, I'm like, let's keep talking. With that, we're going to go ahead and end it here. Everyone, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM or wherever else you may have seen it because it's kind of spreading. So, with that, yeah, we'll catch y'all next week. And as always, love yourself, love those around you if you can, but love yourself first, and just try to have a good day. So with that, we shall see y'all next week. Shalom.